Did you ever think what it would be like if Frankenstein's monster fought the mummy? Well, it happened back in 2015, but nobody really knew about it. Sound cool? Good, because I'm here to talk about Frankenstein versus the Mummy, directed by Damien Leone. By the way, is it Leone or Leone? I figured it was Italian, pronounced Leone. I'm just going to say Leone, to be on the safe side. So, Damien Leone is all the rage in the horror community right now, and I'll admit, I was resistant at first. I wasn't familiar with him at all in 2016 when Terrifier first came out. There was definitely a buzz and people were talking. So a few years passed and curiosity finally got the best of me, and I blind bought it on DVD, and I absolutely loved it. The storyline may have been near non-existent, but since when did slasher films need plots? The gore and practical effects were all I needed. That and I was completely in love with future horror icon Art the Clown and David Howard Thornton's masterful portrayal of the character. Art is hands down the best slasher villain we've gotten in years, and Terrifier 2 from last year was exactly what I wanted it to be. Sure, maybe a little long, but it was an improvement in pretty much every aspect. I haven't seen Damien Leone's All Hallows Eve from 2013 just yet, which was his first feature-length film and the first film to have Art the Clown. It's an anthology, and I've heard that it's pretty good. I'll track down a copy soon. So anyways, what is up with Frankenstein versus the Mummy? It came out just a year before Terrifier, but I've literally never seen or heard it mentioned. Damien Leone wanted to make something like the 1983 Frankenstein comic that was drawn by absolute legend Bernie Wrightson. And Leone's Frankenstein monster does look kind of like Wrightson's. It's been said that he wanted a serious type film instead of something kind of campy or cheesy. And I'm sure that was his intention, but I don't think he really succeeded in that because I think it's mostly pretty silly. Sorry, Damien. This is the first on-screen appearance of Frankenstein and the Mummy together, which is kind of a cool concept, of course. Critical reception was overall pretty lukewarm, and most reviews I've read have been fairly negative, although it seems like a lot of us agreed on one thing. It's kind of a fun watch. One of my biggest issues is that it's a bit longer than it needed to be. I'm sure that its runtime was intentional in order to put together an epic story, but it kind of falls apart in that area. It was written by Leone in addition to the directing, which is what he has done with all of his films so far. He has his own style, and I respect that. I think that, this has a fairly similar style and tone to the Terrifier films, and a large part of that is due to the cinematography work of George Stuber, who has worked on all of Leone's films, and I hope that it remains that way. Back to the storyline, it is a pretty basic retelling of the Frankenstein story, with the mummy storyline kind of taking back seat and shoehorned in. Victor Frankenstein finally achieves his life's work, reanimating a dead body. But I suppose there is a slight twist as far as the way that the monster turns out. The characters, the human characters I should say, are all pretty uninteresting, and that isn't a big deal. I wasn't expecting a master class in acting. The monsters don't look amazing either. I mean, they look okay. That might be one of my biggest complaints, but at least they're done with practical effects. The first hour and 20 minutes have some decent gore, with two scenes being especially good and really reminded me of Terrifier. I guess a lot of people thought that Frankenstein's monster having long hair was a bad look, but that didn't really bother me. I thought it was fine. So we've got a runtime of almost 2 hours, and most of the action was saved for the last 12 minutes, where, you guessed it, Frankenstein's monster fights the mummy. There wasn't really any clever reason for it to happen, but it does, and it's pretty cool. Not as cool as when Freddy fights Jason, or not as soul-crushingly underwhelming as Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. And for something that took an hour and 40 minutes to build up to, the payoff just should have been better. The end hints at a potential sequel, but considering it's been almost 10 years and the Terrifier films being wildly successful, I doubt that it'll ever happen. Well, I think I'm going to give Frankenstein versus the Mummy a 5 out of 10. Damien Leone was still finding his footing, and I wish this movie had a bit more of that Terrifier gore. That said, it's got a little, which made it worth a watch, and I'm keeping the DVD in my collection, though I doubt I'll ever really watch it again. I mean, I would only recommend it to die-hard Damien Leone or Terrifier fans. The rest of you could easily skip it. Even the hardcore Universal Monster fans, because I don't think this would impress them at all. That said, I was never really bored, and I had a decent time with this. With Leone being much more on top of his game at this point, a sequel could actually be really cool. But like I said, I highly doubt it will ever happen. I would rather see him focus on Terrifier anyways. And on that note, have you seen the Terrifier 3 teaser trailer yet? Definitely check it out because it looks insane. It's short, but I mean, I should probably do a reaction or review video or something for it, even though it came out a month ago. I become such a fucking dork Art the Clown fanboy. I practically talked about him more than the film I came here to review. I love Art the Clown, I love the Terrifier franchise, and I love Damien Leone. Cheers, guys.